Hey out there, Yazzers, this is Chris Conte with my reviews of the Champions Division for Challenge 2, Woven in G2C Young Artist Showcase 4, sponsored by MK Blades. The questions I asked myself, and in addition to the criteria that was given to us for judging, was 1, how creative was the concept? 2, how well integrated was the use of the woven fabric into your concept? 3, I evaluated the nuts and bolts of choreography, which of course lends itself full circle to the execution of your concept. General just plus and minus impressions, and here we go. I'm going to start with Kate McSwain, was the first one. I thought that Kate used her main skater, Livy Schilling, very well. Shout out to Livy, hello. She's a lovely skater, and she used her well and choreographed a lot of nice, passionate movement for her. Overall, the impression of the piece with me was it was deeply emotional and evocative. And Livy had some really beautiful moments in the piece, so I thought that the movement choreographed for Livy was really good. I found the other two skaters at times to be distracting with their interplay. I know they were setting the long piece of woven fabric, and that needs to be integrated into the number, but I like this interplay here. It almost seemed like a duet. It would be more like the relationship. The third skater in particular sometimes coming in and out to do things with it. It was almost like the movement on the other two skaters wasn't always choreographed, fully choreographic. So I found that those skaters were actually a little bit distracting. Some of the scarf sets in some of the movement too looked like you could have found a way to do it with your main skater, actually. To me that would have been a really time-consuming thing, but it seemed like some of the things it wasn't even necessary to have a third person come in and do it. Some of them it was, but I understood that. The third thing I just wanted to mention was details. It really bothered me that her tights weren't pulled down over the tops of her skates and her laces were flapping around, and with her hair being so loose and jumping around, I didn't get a lot of the facial expression, and Livy is a very expressive skater, particularly with her facial expressions. She really does that well, so just attention to details. Overall though, I thought it was a good concept and it was pretty well executed. I gave it 3 stars. Next up, I had Catherine Hill. And I found this to be a very creative and fun, interesting concept that you guys came up with, in that the choreography was a puzzle that sort of revealed and needed to be solved at the end. It was a nice way to set the piece up. There was a nice use of action-reaction choreography, kind of mixed in with traditional ice dance vocabulary. There was some nice use of that. And then it was a really cute idea to add the vocal soundtrack, all chopped up, missing words, missing things. So I thought overall it was extremely creative overall concept. It kind of lacked some of the use of the cloth in the second half. I know he threw it away and then the second half of the number was about getting to the other cloth, but it almost to me would have been like, I wish he had thrown the cloth over the camera and maybe that was the one that got hooked, because then with your concept it would have made a little more sense going for that other piece of fabric. However, I would have also liked a little more development of that soundtrack. I don't know how much time you guys had, but it almost like you did the piece and then went back and put the soundtrack over it, which is a fine way to do it. But I would have liked more takes with that, several more added to it. It seemed like it was almost too Spartan. I would have liked the soundtrack perhaps to become more dense as you got closer to the other piece that you're looking for, and it did that a little bit at the end, but I would have liked to see more development of your soundtrack because the movement was well done. Overall, I just felt the concept needed to grow more. All these things are done in a week, but perhaps with more rehearsal time, it could grow into a really, really, really like knock your socks off piece. But all in all, it was a very creative and fun concept, and it was well executed. I gave it 3 stars. Next up, I had Yibin Mok, and I got this immediately. When I first logged on to start watching the challenges, this just happened to be the first one that kind of appeared on my screen, where I had scrolled and I hit it, and I kind of didn't pay attention for a second, and I came back and I looked at it after the intro, so I didn't know the name of the piece of music, and it didn't get any kind of setup for it, but I understood the concept pretty much within 30 seconds of watching the number. Unbelievably great use of space versus your stationary, plain, generic camera angle. Total understanding of sight lines. Unbelievably good use of sustained edge work with the violin, the integration of the music with the sustained edge work and the multi-dimensional body shaping, I felt was masterful. I thought it was just beautiful solo choreography. And I also had that it connected with emotions extremely well. And I also appreciated the kind of vacantness about loss that was gone. And then when she flashed up what happened about the multiple takes and how she went with the test take, I also kind of thought it was a test take when I saw it. And I liked that she left the process stripped down. In this case, I felt that that lent itself to her overall concept. So I really thought that this was beautifully done, and I had to give it 5 stars. Nice job. Next up, I had Stephanie Roth, and I felt that the piece had great energy about it. You did a very passionate performance of it, and I thought it had very good incorporation of the fabric. I like the kind of tasseled carpet look to the fabric, which is a little different than a lot of other people used. But I thought you incorporated it well into your choreography. You did a really nice job with that. I felt in general, though, that if I'm not really sure, you know, when you said there are no secrets that time does not reveal, the idea of time revealing things and moving back and forth, it wasn't a piece of music that slowed down and sped up or something. So I really didn't see the concept fully integrated into the movement. To me, it left me with the perception that perhaps the program was choreographed, the movement was done based on these other things I can do with this, to this music, and then maybe we pasted the concept on afterwards. And I'm not saying you did that necessarily, but I didn't fully feel that the choreography connected fully with your concept. So I gave it 2.5 stars. So next up, Sabato. I have 3 things to say to Sabato about this number. Sabato, 1, it's a home run. 2, it may very well be one of the best male solos I've ever seen. And 3, I can't give more than 5 stars to this, but if I could, I would. So this is a 5-star piece as far as I'm concerned. It's just some of the things I wrote in the margin while I was watching it the first time, you know, like scribbled on the paper, was unbelievable. Creative use of the blindfold, and unbelievably creative and uninhibited movement that was completely committed and integrated into the piece. Yeah, again, there's not much more I can say than I absolutely loved it. The River Sings by Enya. This is Nanoha's contribution to this week's challenge, and I really liked the story aspect that she had. It was a lovely concept of the innocent girl going down to the river to wash her cloth. That it was a nice concept, and I think she did a good job of executing it. It was well executed. One of the things I really liked about the number 2 was your use of multiple lengths of fabric and multiple colors. We've seen a lot of solos with, you know, one piece of fabric, and I'm not favoring one over the other, but it was just refreshing to see someone do a quartet and have these different lengths of fabric going on. So it was a really nice use of the challenge, I thought. And I thought you used them well throughout the number 2. The integration of the different aspects of the 3 different pieces of fabric were well integrated. So it was all good. The only things I could say that if there was more time to improve, I would love to see the story have a little more development and perhaps a little more intricacy in the steps sometimes as the story is being told. Some more intricacy in the choreography would have been nice, which is, of course, with time, more polish on the fabric interactions as well. Like a lot of times when people are using the fabric and breaking through, they're not thinking of the different shapes they could be making with their bodies when they're breaking through a painted fabric. Things like that, for example. But all in all, wonderful concept, very well executed. I enjoyed the number a lot. I gave it 4 stars. Okay, next up is Elliot. Elliot had the concept of scars and losses in life being the shirt. And I thought he did a really nice job, a good setup of the video, the way he did that describing his concept. I'm appreciating that before I see something. It's kind of like getting liner notes before you watch a dance performance. If you have some inkling of what the number's going to be about ahead of time, you get the concept quicker, and therefore you can enjoy the movement more. He did a good job with that. Nice concept and music choice. Beautiful use of edge work and blade work. I like how he uses his whole blades when he skates. Toe work, heel work. He really is master of his blades. I would have liked to see more development of the work with the shirt, though. It seemed like it was just hanging off one arm for a lot of it, and there could have been a lot more interplay with the shirt. There's, I think, more avenues that could have been explored. But the overall execution of the concept, because of that, kind of left me a little bit flat. I got the sense that the shirt was a shirt a lot of the time and not representing something necessarily. So I think with more time it could be very much more developed, but all in all, I thought it was a good concept and it was well executed, so I gave it 3.5 stars. So the final video I viewed was Justine's number. I felt that there was good work with the movement to the character of the music throughout, and I liked the movement vocabulary you used. I thought it was really kind of peppy and interesting. I did not understand, though, why this needed to be a duet, because it was just side by side, two skaters pretty much doing the same movement the whole time. So it's fine as a duet, but concept-wise I didn't get why it needed to be a duet if the skaters never interacted. And I also felt that because I like the idea of the prop being used as a binding thing for the hands, but I felt that really limited the use of the prop in this woven challenge. So all in all, I did like the movement and the character of the music, but again, the concept did execute okay. So all in all, I gave it 3 stars. Thank you to everyone. So in conclusion, I'd like to thank everybody who submitted pieces, and I appreciate their time and hard work that went into it, and I hope they got something out of the critiques from the different judges this week, and I look forward to seeing everybody mature and further as artists throughout this competition. It's a joy to watch you guys. Okay, take care. Ciao for now.